So as I was sitting outside of that building after I got on the piano, and that's when I was looking through my pictures and contemplating going back to the Brill building when I realized that Paul was in my picture, and I didn't know what to do at that point. It was like 6 o'clock now at this point, and my plan was not to be back to the hotel until 8 p.m. because the bus doesn't leave until the bus ticket that I had back to Toronto doesn't leave until 10:45. So back at the hotel, I had to pack my bike up into its box and reorganize my suitcase, but I didn't think that was going to take very long. So I had basically 2 hours to kill between 6 and 8 o'clock when I wanted to be back at the hotel. So I really didn't know what to do. Actually, that's when I went back to David Letterman, and that's when I saw Stuart Copeland, the drummer. But after that, I still had tons of time to kill. So what I did was I went to Central Park, and I just rode the big loop. I did 2.5 loops of the big loop around Central Park where all the bikers go, and in my ears I had my headphones, and I just listened to Paul Simon's albums as I went around, and just really topped off the day, and just closed it down as an awesome trip to New York City with full of surprises. You really know you never know what's going to happen. You got to be in the right place at the right time, and really cool things will happen. So, I mean, I had a good time at Central Park. I saw lots of other bikers going around. I saw some groups of riders actually that were going around the loop as well, and even a big group of rollerbladers I saw, which is pretty cool. I'd never seen that anywhere. They were all like in a pack, sort of. They weren't touching each other, but they were holding hands or anything. But they were all in a big pack, and I guess they were kind of drafting each other to break the wind. And it was a fun way to end my trip. So at 8 o'clock, I was back at the hotel, and I spent maybe 45 minutes until about 8:45. Disassembling my bike and getting my milk crate to fit inside of my suitcase, and reorganizing my suitcase, making sure that I had all this carry-on stuff in my backpack that I wanted for the bus trip home, and all the stuff like bike tools and stuff were not in my backpack anymore, so I didn't have to worry about carrying those. At about 8:45, I was all ready. Everything was ready to go. So I asked the woman who was working at the front desk of the Jane Hotel if she could call a taxi for me. I definitely said the word taxi. So she said, okay, yeah. She called something, and she said, okay, it'll be at about 10 minutes. So I went and waited outside, and a bunch of taxis went past, but it's just a very small little quiet street that the Jane's on, so there's no really heavy taxi traffic that goes past, but there were taxis that were dropping off people at the hotel. But I really needed a big SUV taxi to fit my bike, which I realized and learned on my first trip from the Port Authority to the hotel. So that's what I asked for. So I was waiting for that to come, and the thing that showed up was a big van, and it wasn't yellow. It wasn't really a taxi. It didn't have any markings on it. On the back, I saw it had a little taxi light, like one of those emergency lights on the back, but it didn't look at all like a taxi. And I thought, oh, okay, I guess this is a special taxi that they've got for me. And I got in the taxi, and I was looking around, and there was no meter on the taxi, and I was thinking, well, I don't know. How much is this going to cost me? Because when I came from the Port Authority to the hotel the first night, I just pulled a taxi off the street, and it was really simple and easy. And we put the bike in, and they drove me right to the hotel, and it was really not a very long ride. The Port Authority's on like 42nd Street or 40th Street, and the hotel's on about West 12th, I guess. It's not a numbered street, but it's around West 12th if you want to use the numbers to compare. But anyways, that taxi ride, the cost on the meter said about $6.70 or something like that, and I rounded up, and I gave him a tip, and I paid $9 for the ride. And anyway, so this taxi I figured would be about the same. And so while I was spending the last of my American money, I made sure that I held on to a $10 bill so I could use that to pay the taxi driver. And I figured that, okay, well, if the bill ends up being a little bit higher than 10 for whatever reason, if he gets stuck in traffic or something, then I can just use my credit card, because all yellow taxis take credit cards, and it's really fast, simple, and easy. So that's what I did, and I ended up in this non-yellow van that was supposedly a taxi. So he drove me all the way to the Port Authority, and there's no meter anywhere in the taxi, so I'm looking around for it. There's no meter, there's no numbers going up. I have no idea what it's going to cost me, and I get there and he says it's $25. $25 for a 6-minute ride that cost me about cost me $9 the first time I did it in reverse. And I just said, $25? I only have $10. Like what's going on here, right? And he's like, oh, well, it's because it's a charter service, and we paid for the cost of coming to pick you up first, and blah blah blah. And it's just like, I said, okay, well, what, do you take credit card? And he said, yeah, but there's an ATM inside. Go and get money inside. I said, well, I don't want to get more American money. I'd rather pay you with my credit card. And he said, oh, it's 20% to use your credit card. So a charge that's already $25 gets rounded up to $30 to use my credit card. But whatever, that's not his fault. The real problem is the person at the Jane Hotel that called that service for me. I said the word taxi. I wanted a regular taxi. I didn't think that was too much to offer. I could have gone out on the street and walked all the way to Washington Street and asked for a taxi and just pulled one off myself. I figured it would be easier for them to do it for me, but oh well, not a huge deal. Just a little bit annoying that I had to pay 3 times more than I was expecting to pay for a short little taxi ride. But anyways, I got to the Port Authority with plenty of time, and I got my stuff all down to the lower level where the bus for Toronto leaves, and I got on the bus, and the bus ride home was fairly uneventful. They had lots of people that were leaving at the same time, so they broke the people on the bus down into different groups. So all the people that were on the bus that I was on went all the way to Toronto, so we didn't have to stop in Syracuse, New York, or Rochester. So we were seen to be ahead of schedule, but when we got to Buffalo and they had a driver change, there was a big wait for the other driver to come because we were early and he was on time for work, I guess. So anyways, we got going, and the border crossing took a long time, but for most of this ride I was sleeping anyways, so it wasn't a huge deal. Something humorous that happened was when I went on the bus, I forgot to bring my jacket with me. When I came, I had my jacket with me, my blue jacket, and I used that sort of as a pillow when I was trying to sleep on the first trip. But I forgot that it was inside my suitcase underneath the bus, and I had no way of getting it until at least the border. So what I did when we stopped at the first place, which is Goldberg's, Pennsylvania. They have a little convenience store where everyone could get out and use the restroom. And what I bought there was I was looking around to see if they had any of those like neck pillow things that you can buy for sleeping like on a bus or something, but I didn't have anything like that. But what I decided to buy instead was a roll of paper towels, which I used as a nice little round pillow that I could put right here, and it was the perfect size, and it amounted to lots of hours of sleep on the bus because of this roll of paper towels. So the $2 roll of paper towels was very useful, and it's still intact, and I'll still be able to use the paper towels just fine. So the ride home was really simple and easy. I got back to the bus was a little bit late pulling into the bus terminal in Toronto, but I managed to get a taxi that took me right to Union Station, right on time for the train, which was actually a little bit delayed. So I had lots of time to get my stuff up to the track level, and I got back home, and my mom picked me up from the train station in Whitby, and then I came home. And I've just been here for the rest of the day, just sort of unpacking my stuff and settling back in. So that was the end of my trip, my 8th day in New York City, and my trip home, and my really awesome story with Paul Simon in it. And it's a story that I'll probably tell for many years, and it's good to have recorded how it actually happened. Right after it happened. Well, it's all fresh in my memory. So. That's good to have that recorded, and so I hope you enjoyed watching my video. I hope you enjoyed watching all of my videos from New York City. If you haven't seen them, you can watch them all from the beginning if you'd like. There's lots of videos, so I don't expect anyone to go through and watch all of it. But if you're interested in New York City and you're interested in the sort of things that I'm interested in, I've got lots of videos about New York City that you can watch. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.